dkdynamite, and now that the dust has settled with the release of Terra Maledicta, I wanted to sit down and talk a little bit about what's going on with zombies, some really questionable Easter eggs, and even more. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and any support would be appreciated over on my Facebook gaming page. We're very close to 1,000 followers, and I'm posting lots of different content over on there, whether it's Call of Duty, playing other games. I'm sure you guys will definitely enjoy some of that content. The link, of course, is down below in the description. Any support is appreciated over there. But Treyarch went ahead and confirmed over on Twitter yesterday they're planning on increasing the ray gun's effectiveness in an upcoming Vanguard Zombies update, and to stay tuned for that. And for those wondering if you can equip both wonder weapons at the same time, give it a try. We already know that works, right? You can use the new upgraded shield as well as the ray gun over in Terra Maledicta. But besides that update, I'm like, okay, first off, I was a bit surprised that we might have actually went a full release of a new season without a trailer showcasing the new zombies content. It's never really happened before. I know Forsaken didn't get its own dedicated trailer for Black Ops Cold War, but they still showcased it in the Season 6 trailer, talking about all the new content. We didn't get that for Terra Maledicta. However, a day after the content went live, we ended up getting this rapid fire type marketing from Call of Duty that did showcase some of the new content for zombies. But with that, there also wasn't an intro cinematic cutscene for this map, which is unfortunate. So I'm still wondering, right, by the time we get to the final map in the Vanguard Zombie season, will there be any major conclusion with an ending cinematic cutscene teasing the next game? I wonder, because it looks like they just don't have the time, budget, or resources to really put much into the marketing or Easter egg rewards for Vanguard Zombies, and that's unfortunate. But with that, let's start off with the side Easter eggs. And here's the thing, right? I always appreciate when Treyarch adds in some really cool side Easter eggs into their maps. I think Forsaken had some of the best ones we've gotten in years. I love them, and I think overall D Machina didn't have too many good ones, but Forsaken definitely stepped it up quite a bit. Now, here in Terra Maledicta, the problem with the side Easter eggs is that all of them revolve around digging, and I'm glad that feature has returned from Origins. Digging was always cool to do back in the day, but the problem is everything revolves around digging, which also plays a part with RNG, and sometimes you'll dig all the spots and then you have to go through an objective or something and then come back and hope that more dig spots are there. It's kind of frustrating, but according to Reality UK over on Twitter, who's a very sneaky individual posting early information, he's claiming there are two unsolved side Easter eggs in Terra Maledicta, one being called Capture Golden Ball and the other one being called Big Bomb. And if we can take a guess as to what those quests are, I mean, look at the current side quests we have. We have the free death machine, which requires quite a bit of effort to get for no reason, right? Digging out 4 pages of the Tome of Rituals, which could take you quite some time, and then placing it on that door to get the free death machine. I believe we might have been the first to solve that in the entire Zombies community. I was streaming the launch of the new season a couple days ago, and I didn't see anybody else cover this. And obviously videos are out now from other people, but when we streamed that this was news to us. There was a free death machine, and I felt like with all the effort that went into unlocking that door, there would have been a better reward. If it was for a ray gun, it would have made so much more sense. Now, what really makes me scratch my head is the amount of time it takes to get those Tome of Ritual pages to unlock that door. In that amount of time it takes, you could just save up salvage to buy a death machine, or get one from the mystery box, because it is fairly common to get from that. So it's like, wait a second, why would I go through all the effort just for a death machine when there's so many other ways to get it? It just makes me scratch my head as to why it's really a side Easter egg, and I think almost any other reward would have made more sense. A random tier 3 weapon, a wonder weapon, something of that nature. But then for the other side quests, we have, of course, the ability to dig up an antenna, then you can tune other antennas around the map, and all that does is give you a free loot chest. That's all it does, and it takes so long to do it, which is really questionable. I just don't get it. There's also a bit of a ray gun troll / jump scare, which is funny, yeah, but aside from that, that's really it for the quest we have in Terra Maledicta. And I mean, Capture Golden Ball, who knows what that means, but Big Bomb feels like maybe a free nuke. I wouldn't get my hopes up for anything too special in terms of unsolved side Easter eggs, but I get it. I'm cutting Treyarch some slack because everybody knows the circumstances in which they had to develop Vanguard Zombies in a short amount of time. Blame Sledgehammer, blame Activision for not figuring out a different game plan aside from getting Treyarch to work on back-to-back zombies modes. It's just not fair to Treyarch, and it doesn't make any sense. But then we have the main Easter egg on this map, and the thing is, I'm glad that there is one, but it's like I mentioned in a couple videos ago, I'm still confused that the recent blog post for Vanguard Zombies kind of hinted that we were going to get a full-fledged quest on Anfang, and the prologue that we got in Season 1 Reloaded was just the start. But no, that wasn't the case. They've moved on to a new map entirely, which I guess might have been the smartest solution for them since interest in Anfang really isn't there. So we got the main quest on this map, and it doesn't take you long to do. What takes you long to do is to open up the entire map, because it's a much bigger experience than Anfang, and by the time you open all the areas, yeah, it might take you a good half an hour, but once you get to the actual meat and potatoes of the main quest, nothing really happens. You listen to speaking stones, do an objective or two, you destroy those anchors with a shield, and then that's really it. It's a very simple quest. Definitely a step up from Anfang, but that's not really saying much. Now, what's crazy to me is you have to go through that whole process, listening to dialogue and just dragging your way through to unlock the Decimator shield, which also isn't really that good of a reward. It doesn't really do much. It has a 90-second cooldown when you do the attack with it, and the melee attacks you can do when you slap people with it is just like a regular combat knife. Doesn't really do anything extra, so I'm hoping we get a buff to this shield at some point, but like I mentioned on stream, I just don't really see people out there going through that whole process of the main quest just to get this shield, right? Is it really worth it? I don't think so. Now, I have to give credit where credit's due. I think one of the cooler rewards of finishing the main quest, though, is gaining access to a free Pack-a-Punch tier. So by that point in the main quest, you should probably already be tier 2 with your papped weapon, so you'll get thrown right to tier 3, which could save you 30,000 points, which is fantastic. And I think that at least makes the quest worthwhile. It's certainly not all the loot that drops when you finish it. It's certainly not the Decimator shield, but that free tier for Pack-a-Punch, I think at least gives the main Easter egg some type of weight. It actually encourages you to do it, and you could almost do it by accident. It doesn't require much effort to even do the quest. It's just listening to all that audio and the dialogue that could get repetitive game after game. And you guys know I try to be optimistic about what Treyarch has to offer with Vanguard, because I still think it's unbelievable that they had to clutch up COD 2020, turn it into Cold War at the last minute, which cut their BO4 DLC season a bit short, and then after finishing Cold War and finishing a phenomenal DLC season, they had to go on and help Sledgehammer again with doing CDL and multiplayer and their zombies mode while working on their next game simultaneously. That's insane to me, and that's why I'm not really hoping for this state-of-the-art polished zombies mode or any DLC maps in Vanguard. I'd hope that they get plenty of time with no interruptions to really go all out with zombies in their next game. But I think another problem is the fact that this quest was solved by hackers 4 days before the official start of the season, before the launch of the map publicly, and I think that immediately put a bad taste in everybody's mouth. I think there might have been some better reception to this quest if people had solved it legitimately at the start of Season 2, but I think anytime hackers, data miners, leakers get their hands on things early and spoil everything, that's just gonna put a really bad taste in people's mouths, no matter how good the content actually is. But then there's also the mystery of the Shinonuma hut over in Anfang, with how there's those anchors, which you clearly need the Decimator shield to destroy, because we did that in Terra Maledicta. Hackers have thrown the shield into Anfang, went over to Shinonuma, and the shield didn't break those anchors. But what I've been told, and again, this is a bit confusing, but what I've been told is that the storyline on Terra Maledicta kind of retcons the anchors that are in Shinonuma, and it kind of says, okay, yeah, those anchors might not have been on Anfang, but they were on Terra Maledicta. That's when we destroyed them. So it looks like when they were placed in Anfang for that prologue, or for the Void objective, I should say, it was kind of just hinting at what we were gonna do in the next map. But who could have predicted that, right? Everybody thought, okay, maybe it's a super Easter egg, maybe we'll come back to this map after, like, you know, DLC 3 or DLC 4, and we could destroy those anchors, free craft from the door. But it looks like that kind of got retconned and didn't really mean anything. But again, anything's possible. They could always blow our minds in the future of Vanguard cycle and still have us go back to Anfang. I remember even talking about in a previous video that new points of interest were also found for Anfang. Could be scrapped, could be canceled, but maybe there is more than meets the eye with that map, and more updates will come to it. However, I highly doubt it, considering we now have the release of a new map entirely. Now, there's also another mystery surrounding the corrupted hearts. I don't understand this, and I tried my best hunting this on stream. I know other people out there have as well. Maybe this is a part of one of those unsolved quests, capture Golden Ball or Big Bomb. Maybe it's connected to that, but you can dig up these corrupted hearts, and you can dig up several of them. I'm not sure if they overlap or if you could hold multiple, and then you can put them back into the ground and it creates a new dig spot. But then when you open the dig spot again, it's the same thing. The corrupted heart comes out of the ground. So I'm wondering if that's just something that's unsolved or something that really doesn't mean anything. It seems like when you have those corrupted hearts, you have like this red aura around you and it looks like it gives you like a boost in damage or something. Not sure exactly what it does either. Maybe there's a big mystery behind it that we haven't solved, but so far that's another lead that we just don't really understand as a community right now, but figured I'd bring that up real quickly in the case you guys do care about hunting any unsolved mysteries here in DLC 1. But overall, if you ask yourself, is this map a step up from Anfang? I would say, look, aesthetically, visually, absolutely, it looks beautiful. The Dark Ether arena you can go to for the Void objective and for the main quest, it looks amazing. It's not very big, but it's a cool area to be in. It's great to be able to see the Dark Ether for the first time in game, sure, but in terms of the gameplay, it's very similar to Anfang, of course, because of the similar objectives, and that's my point I brought up a little while ago. I'm like, well, no matter how many maps you add or arenas to Vanguard Zombies, will any of them really stand out from one another, because the gameplay on all of them will still be the same, with the same 6 objectives, the same structure with opening up certain areas of the map and having to go little by little. So I don't know if they could really step up anything with Vanguard Zombies unless they change the formula entirely with a new map that doesn't have objectives, doesn't have the same structure as Anfang. I don't know how much they could really change, but overall, this is a much bigger map. It does play well, it looks nice, but I don't think if you hated Anfang, you're gonna play this map and say, oh yeah, things have turned around for me, now I love Vanguard Zombies. I don't think that'll be the case. But you've also been seeing me go ham against Zaballa, the Deceiver, the brand new boss available here in Terra Maledicta. She'll also pop up in some of the higher waves of Anfang, and she's an okay boss. If anything, she could have been the boss fight for this map. She didn't even have to be one of the heavy enemies that spawns on later waves. She could have just been a boss that you can face at the end of the main quest for this map. I saw a great tweet from a good buddy of mine, Lego Unlocked, who said, and I quote, "Same issue I had with the BO3 Margwas, bosses should never have an immune to damage phase. It doesn't make the game any harder, all it does is slow it down and make it annoying. Harder bosses is better than annoying bosses." And I have to agree. I mean, there really isn't a point, and I think that's a greater issue that Vanguard Zombies has overall. It's just dragging things out and kind of stalling different elements of the gameplay when you have bosses like Zaballa, when you have a main quest centered around opening up the map first by doing repetitive objectives, then having to listen to speaking stones and dialogue for 10 minutes before you can get to the next step. I mean, a lot of Vanguard Zombies deals with stalling before you can do the next thing, and if you take away all the stalling this game has, this quest and everything else you can do in Vanguard Zombies really doesn't take long to do at all. It's just the elements in between that drag things out. Now, it was also brought to my attention that the Healing Aura field upgrade was usable as of Friday, I believe, 4 days before the launch of Terra Maledicta. I was aware the ray gun was already live, the new Covenant, but I didn't know the Healing Aura was available through, I think, a custom preset class or whatnot. I didn't know that was the case. And it's a pretty fun field upgrade to use. I enjoyed using it on stream. I mean, the tier upgrades for it are also fantastic. It's a good one. I'm happy they added this in. I mean, we weren't sure if Rakana the Last was going to be Healing Aura or Toxic Growth. We just knew that green would be the focus of her character, so it was going to be either or. But I think Healing Aura overall does play a pretty good part in obviously team gameplay, reviving teammates from across the map if you have it maxed out at tier 5. Love the features on it. You can obviously pop it and then throw grenades at the ground right next to you, and you can do a bunch of damage to yourself, but getting healed instantly when Healing Aura is right beside you. So it's a useful one. I think even mixing with some of the Covenants does make it one of the better field upgrades that you can use here in this game. But now I really wonder, what's next for Vanguard Zombies? I mean, if all future DLC maps for this game are exactly the same as Anfang and Terra Maledicta, with the hub in the middle, the arenas you can go through, then maybe they could pump out another map towards maybe the back half of Season 3? Might even take longer than that, could even be Season 4, but I guess I'm like, well, what's gonna happen from now until then? Will zombies just be dormant until, you know, May or even June? I really don't know, but I think since Terra Maledicta was labeled as DLC 1 by Treyarch, then there should be 3 more DLC experiences, right? 3 more maps like this, unless they do change the formula for future DLC maps, and maybe they won't be like Terra Maledicta and Anfang. That's a big question mark, but like I mentioned on the podcast before, I'm like, look, I think if Sledgehammer would have just helped Treyarch work on year 2 content for Cold War zombies, that would have made more sense. Imagine getting some prequel maps, but in Cold War, so you don't have to restart having to worry about getting your field upgrades upgraded again. You don't have to worry about unlocking more tiers and weapons starting from scratch. Imagine just getting some good prequel maps that still tell the same story in Vanguard Zombies, but in Cold War, so that all they had to worry about was the gameplay and quest on that map, not starting fresh from the ground up with a whole new system, coming up with the covenants, the new perks, yada yada yada. I think that would have worked out best, but then that raises the question, well, how would Activision have charged $60 for Vanguard then? It wouldn't have worked out. They would have only had campaign and multiplayer, but I would have hoped that they could have figured something out, and I think Cold War Zombies Year 2 would have performed so much better for everybody, and more people would have been happy with more content in that game. Now, the last thing I'll end with is people probably would have reacted to Vanguard Zombies differently if it wasn't made from Treyarch, and it's unfortunate that Treyarch has to fall under the bus for this, and the rep has to be stained because of the existence of this game mode, even though everybody knows, or everybody with a brain I should say, everybody knows, the circumstances in which this game was developed. If you came out and said, hey, Sledgehammer made this zombies mode, I think people out there would have reacted differently, would have had fewer expectations, and I get it, right? Treyarch is a very hot name in the COD franchise. They gave birth to zombies, so you're expecting a solid experience, but I just keep going back to how Forsaken released very close to the launch of Vanguard Zombies. Could you really have expected Vanguard Zombies at launch to be top notch, considering we just got a round-based map a couple of weeks before that? And I know you pay $60, you're expecting a full product. I agree with you 100%, but that's why I said if they would have done a Cold War Zombies Year 2 with Sledgehammer helping Treyarch out with more maps, a prequel story or whatnot, we could have waited until after New Year's to get that map, because we always have a 3-month gap anyway in between round-based experiences. Now, I do have the upcoming release of the Arms Race Ground War type mode for Vanguard, probably coming during the mid-season of Season 2, and it'll probably be the same scale as a typical Fire Team map or a Ground War map for Modern Warfare. So that's why I'm thinking, well, considering all the points of interest got revealed early online, it seems like a big map. Could they end up doing an Outbreak type experience for that map that isn't the same formula as Anfang or Terra Maledicta, but is just like typical Outbreak that we got in Cold War? Could we see that maybe in the place of DLC 2, and then DLC 3 comes out in the summer again, like we got with Cold War's lifecycle last year? That could very well happen, and if anything, that might be more successful than just releasing another map that has the same formula as the 2 we already have in this game. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. Bit of a review of DLC 1 here in Vanguard Zombies. What are your thoughts on the questionable Easter eggs? What are your thoughts on the state of the community right now? And let me know what you're feeling about the future of the Vanguard Zombies season. Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.